All right, we're going to talk a little bit about clubs today. Just doing some short tutorials, just talking about different subjects in golf class. Anytime you need any help at all in golf class, you always want to make sure that you've got Golf Class Notebook IO up in the background. Anything that you need, any clubs, any balls, chess, tournaments, anything you need to know about the game, they're going to have detailed information about everything in the game. So when we're talking about clubs, we're talking about drivers, when you look at your bag, you've got 8 clubs available to you. Everybody has a beginner putter. It doesn't matter how long you've played, everybody plays with the beginner putter. These top 4 clubs are the clubs that you're really the most concerned about. These are your fairway clubs. These are clubs you're hitting from the fairway. Your driver, your wood, your long iron, your short iron. Most of these clubs you're going to be able to get in the lower level tours. The bottom 3, the wedge, the rough iron, and the sand wedge, once you get, you'll do a little bit of changing during a tournament where you may swap out a club just because on that particular hole you're looking for whatever that club's effect is. But for the most part, once you get these 3 set day to day, those clubs aren't going to change. So if you're practicing with different clubs, you're going to go out and practice with a different club on this top row, the driver, wood, long iron, and short iron, and you're not really going to change your wedge, your rough iron, and your sand wedge once you get going. So when we talk about driver, everybody has a beginning putter. Tour 1 is you can open up the rocket. Tour 2, you can open up an extra mile. Tour 3, you can open up a big topper. 4, a quarterback. 5, a rock. 6, Thor's hammer. 7, the apocalypse. So if you're playing in Tour 7 or above, every time you get a chest, you have access to every card in the game. Obviously, the higher the level of the chest, the more cards you're going to get. So when you're playing up at the higher levels and you open up a chest, your opportunity to get, more cards is going to be higher. But you're still going to get a lot of your common cards no matter what. So never be upset when you start maxing out your commons and you have extra cards. It's better to have a maxed out common and have extra cards than not enough cards to get it maxed out. So, that's just how it works. So what'll happen is once you max out a card, you'll continue to get additional cards for that aren't really doing you any good. But that's okay. That's just part of the game. So when we talk about drivers, when you first start, everybody uses the rocket. You're going to get an extra mile relatively quickly, and you're going to start using it as well. The big topper's got its place. There's some tournament holes where we'll use a big topper, and you can use a big topper day to day to play. There's, it's a good club, but it has it's a better club to use on specific holes. The quarterback, you want to get to level 8. That's a club that you want to get to level 8 as fast as you can because it's your accuracy driver. It's the driver that you're going to use when you're doing layup shots and you want to be in the right area every time because its accuracy is so good that you can hit a good shot to the left or the right and still be where you want to be. The rock, when this gets to level 8, when it's maxed out at level 8, it actually takes the place of the quarterback. Up to that point, it's not as good. So if we look at our quarterback compared to our rock, the quarterback's got better numbers all the way across the board. But when the rock gets to level 8, the only thing that it has a little bit lower is accuracy. Everything else is better. More power, more of everything else. Thor's hammer. Thor's hammer is a super popular club, especially when you get into the higher tours, where you need a driver that gives you some other options. This club, when it gets higher levels, has backspin, topspin. It has good ball guide. It has a lot of good stuff. When it gets to level 5, it starts to pick that stuff up. 5, 6, and 7 is where this club really, really shines. And I've played quite a few games, and I don't have that club. Never opened it up. The Apocalypse. When you get this club maxed out, it is a pretty awesome club. It has all of the stuff you're looking for. You need to get it to about level 4 in order for it to take over. Some people will get lucky. I have a friend that played and got an Apocalypse within the first 2 or 3 weeks of playing. Like one of his first few times playing Tour 7, he opened up a chest and got an Apocalypse. So he got it relatively early in the game, and he got cards enough for it to get it to level 4. And so he's able to incorporate that into his gameplay because he has it at a high enough level. Pretty much at this stage, I transfer between the extra mile, the big topper, and the quarterback. The extra mile and the quarterback more than the big topper. The big topper pretty much just for some tournament holes. On woods, you're going to play with all of these woods as you come up. As you're going to start off, you're going to get a Viper, and you're going to get a Horizon relatively early. You're going to get the big dog relatively early. And you're going to use all of these clubs. The Hammerhead becomes a great club when it gets maxed out. Its pairing is the Sniper. So once the Hammerhead gets maxed up, gets to level 6 and 7, it starts to match up real good with the Sniper. But the Sniper is still a better club, and mainly because of that backspin. And it gets even more backspin when it gets to level 10. So on this account, one of the pushes is to get the Sniper to level 10 and max that Sniper out. Day to day, as soon as you get a Guardian, that's probably the club you're going to use. When you're playing one-on-ones, you're going to use your Guardian quite a bit, mainly because it starts off with a 100 backspin. This club is not going to help you as much on some holes to get to the shootout because of the limited topspin. But once you get to the shootout, that backspin is going to win you a lot of shootouts because you're going to have a lot of options that your opponents don't have if they've got any other club other than a Guardian. So once you get to a Guardian, that's going to be a club that you're going to play with a lot when you're playing one-on-one. When you're playing in tournaments, you're going to want to switch, and your switch clubs are going to be, for the most part, the big dog and the Sniper. Once you get your Sniper up to level 8, you're not going to need to play with your Viper anymore because the Sniper is going to be a better club. It's going to have better ball guide, better curl, better backspin, better topspin, better accuracy, same power. There's not going to be any reason to play with your Viper anymore once you get your Sniper to level 8. Because once you start doing that, then you're pretty much down to Sniper, Guardian, big dog. That's what you're looking for. If you're playing in just the lower level tournaments, you're playing in rookie tournaments, you're never going to accumulate enough Cataclysm cards to get it to the point where it will be better than one of the clubs you're using. If you're playing in the higher level tours, then you're going to get your Cataclysm up relatively. These Tour 7 clubs, if you're playing at that high level consistently, you're looking at probably a year investment in order to get all of your clubs maxed out. If you're playing in the lower level tours, you're going to get these first 4 to 5 cards pretty close to maxed out within about 4 to 6 months. When you're doing long irons, once again, you're going to use, if I used a Grim Reaper, it was only out of desperation at the very beginning of the game, and I don't even know that I ever did that. The Backbone and the Saturn, once I got those up, those are the clubs. A lot of people use Goliath, and it's going to be a club that you're going to get maxed up pretty quick because it's in that Tour 3. So any tournament that you're playing in, you're going to have access to that club. And so if you're playing in the rookie tournaments, you're going to have access to the Goliath every time you open up a chest. And so it'll be pretty easy to max out your Goliath. I've never used a Grizzly. The B-52 is the reason why top level players use the B-52 is because it has the accuracy. So when you get it maxed out, it's taking the place of the Backbone. because its accuracy gets higher than the backbone. And with a long iron, what you're looking for is like a short iron. You're looking for accuracy. These other numbers really don't matter. You're not having to put a lot of that topspin and backspin and all that. You just need enough to set the ball up so that you can get the ball in the hole. And so the only number you're really looking for is the accuracy number. So that's why you see a lot of the top level players playing with a B52. Same thing about the Tsunami. Once you get the Tsunami up, it's got all the numbers. But these two epics are going to take a long time of playing higher level tours in order to get them up to a usable level where they would be better than your Saturn, Backbone, and Goliath. But for me, it's for the most part back and forth between the Backbone and the Saturn. The deal between these two clubs is the Backbone has a lot better accuracy and is going to help put that ball in the hole, but the Saturn's got lots of backspin. So for a lot of holes, you're gonna be able to go straight out the hole and try and sink it. But some holes you're gonna need more of a utility club, and the Saturn has good curl, good backspin, good topspin. It's got good ball guide. So as far as utility goes, it's great. The downfall of the Saturn is it only has 56 accuracy, whereas the Backbone has 92. And that accuracy really starts to play into it when you're talking about long irons and short irons, especially short irons. You're going to start off with an Apache. You're going to play with a runner. One of my accounts played with a runner for a long time. Played with a runner until it got its Hornet up to like level 3 or 4, and then switched over to a Hornet. So the Hornet here has got, and the corresponding club with the Hornet would be the Thorn. So they're similar distance. The Hornet has 96 accuracy. The Thorn has 57. That's the difference. So for people that use a Hornet all the time, we're using that Hornet because of its accuracy. It's 1.1 per ring per mile per hour of wind. So if you had a 2-2 wind and you were at max club on your Hornet, you would adjust for 2 rings. And so its accuracy numbers are really, really good, and accuracy makes a big deal with short irons. So you will sink a lot of holes if you can learn how to hit your Hornet. My Hornet is 111924, or 22. So learning how to hit your clubs, especially in these short iron ones, the more accuracy you can get. I used to use a Claw. It has better accuracy than the Thorn, and it has almost as much backspin. So this is kind of the in-between club. It's got decent ball guide. It's got good distance. But I found that I was missing more shots, close shots, than I've started making those shots when I switched to the Hornet, just because of that accuracy. Wedges. I see a lot of people using a dart. It's something you get relatively easy. You get it early in the game, and you can start to build that club up. I see a lot of people use a skewer. The transition for me, I never really used a boomerang, never really used a down and one. While I have an in-bringer, I've never really used it. For my transition, the day that I got a Firefly, I started using it. And what we're looking for on this Firefly is this topspin. So what you can do is it's got great ball guide and it's got great topspin, and it gets that right off the bat. So when you come up, you see a lot of the guys that have been playing, or if you watch videos, what they'll do is when they get up and they're on the fringe or they're really close to the green, they'll run out the maximum topspin, no left or right, side spin or curl, just maximum topspin. And what it'll do is it'll flatten that ball out, and it'll actually just draw a line right to the hole. You aim right at the flag. And then when you take the shot, because the rings are so much closer to you, the closer those rings get to you, the smaller the rings get, and the smaller they get, and the smaller they get. So the closer you can pull it to you, and then run that maximum topspin out there, and it flattens it out on the green, the closer you can get those rings to you, then that means that if you hit it great to the left or the right, the rings were so small, it's not really going to matter. So you can achieve that effect with the Firefly, and the Rapier gives you the same effect. Even though it doesn't have as much topspin, it gives you the same effect, and it's a more accurate club. You're going to find with the Firefly that you're going to miss shots. You're going to go, how in the heck did I miss that shot? I was right at it. It's because the accuracy on the Firefly is so bad that you can hit a perfect shot and end up missing it. It's inconsistent, but it gives you that effect. And you will make shots with it. It's just you'll miss a shot here and there that you absolutely know that you should have made. So as soon as you get the rapier, you can upgrade to the rapier. It gives you better accuracy, and you can get rid of some of that negative effect that you get with the Firefly. So for me, the transition and wedges is I used a dart until I got a Firefly, then I used the Firefly until I got a rapier, and then that was it. On rough irons and sand wedges, something to keep in mind here. You're going to use whatever you need to use, and you're going to use a machete for a while. You're going to use an off-roader because an off-roader's got a little bit of distance, even at the lower levels. So you're going to use whatever you need to. The razor, you're going to have used them all. The Amazon, you're probably only going to use, when you're playing in a tournament, and if you miss that shot and you're in the rough, you're gonna need the longest rough club that you have. You may keep the Amazon in your bag on that hole just to get you out of trouble if you miss that shot. But the downside is it has really, really poor ball guide. So you're not going to see where you're going when you're hitting it that far. The thing about rough irons and the sand wedges is if we take the rough iron Nirvana 129 and we look at long irons, the longest long iron is at 135 and the shortest, I believe, is at 124. So we're looking at, 130, 129, somewhere in that distance is probably like an average long iron. This rough iron Nirvana is an average long iron. Most of the other long irons were at 103 for a rough cutter. We're at 111. We're at 101. This is probably the second longest at 115. 111. The razor will get up there when it gets to max level, though. Amazon is a little bit bigger. So your Nirvana is a long iron from the rough. You've picked up, if you look at some of the lower level ones from when you first started the game, the rough cutter, you've picked up 26 yards. That's huge. So, to get you out of trouble, the Nirvana is definitely going to be the club that you're looking for. And it has really good other numbers. It's very accurate. It's got a lot of topspin. It's got a lot of backspin. Gives you some curl. It's got great ball guide. So, it'll help get you out of trouble. The one thing that I have learned, or as far as like in my game, is that when you're playing your rough irons, if you're using the wind method, this club is basically, for all intents and purposes, a 1 mile per hour per ring. You could say 1-1. I play this as a 2. I play it at half its accuracy. So when I'm at max club, it plays at 2. When it's at mid club, it plays at 4. When it's at minimum club, it plays at 16. But that's just how I adjust it. You'll have to figure those things out on the rough iron and the sand wedge, because the accuracy numbers, and partially it's like that because you can pull the ball out to 129 yards, or you can pull the ball a foot in front of you. And so its accuracy numbers are a little different than the other clubs, because the other clubs have a shorter range. Sand wedges. Here's how this is for most people in the game. They get a Malibu, and once they get a Malibu, they stay with the Malibu until they get a Spitfire. And a Spitfire at 120 is, once again, pretty much the shortest long iron in the game. A Saturn at 124, a Spitfire at 120, but you have 88 topspin. Even in the lower levels, you have a lot of topspin on a Spitfire. So, this club with that much topspin is probably a midline long iron from the sand. So once again, you went from a sand wedge to a long iron. So this one hits 103, 17 yards shorter. This one hits 96, 24 yards shorter. The Malibu, 11 yards shorter, and hardly any topspin. So the Spitfire is a game changer when you get it. There used to be a forum for Golf Clash, and people would, post questions, and everybody in the community, we talk about those. One of the questions that came up several times is, what's the best epic in the game? And my response to that is that the Spitfire is the best epic in the game, because it's the one epic that once you get it, you will very seldom, if ever, and pretty much only in tournaments where you're playing to you've got a tournament and you're shooting a shot, and if you miss just a little, you roll off into the sand, but the next club you need has got a lot of backspin. So you bring a Houdini, which would be the same thing on that same exact hole. You'd also carry a machete, because the machete also has 100 backspin. So if you're on one of those holes where if you miss the optimal shot, you want to give yourself pretty much the same shot that you would have had, but just a faster needle speed, you're going to use a Houdini and a machete. But other than that, you're pretty much going to stick with your Spitfire. Now, the one thing I will tell you about the Spitfire is I do the same thing with it that I do with the rough iron. Whatever its accuracy is, I pretty much think of it as being twice that or half that accurate. And this backspin that you get here, don't look at the 6 and go, 6 is nothing. That's not going to do anything for me. Because the Spitfire hits different than most clubs. It goes straight up in the air. And when it comes down to the ground, it's coming almost straight up and down. And so six backspin on a Spitfire is a lot of backspin. You look at the backspin that's on here, we're at 52. That 6 backspin can stop this ball, because of how high the trajectory is on a Spitfire, can stop it probably as good as the 52 on the Malibu. Might even be better. So a little bit of backspin on a Spitfire goes a long, long ways. So when you get this up to level 4 and 5, you start to pick up some of that backspin, and it gets even more effective. So don't look at the backspin number and think, well, I can't get a lot done with this. You can still get a lot done with 6 backspin on a Spitfire. But of all the other epics that are in the game, day to day, if you've got a Thor's Hammer and Apocalypse, you're probably not going to use them every hole. You're going to be switching out when you're playing in a tournament. But what you will carry almost every hole in the tournament is a Spitfire. All right, that was just a little bit of discussion on clubs. The thing about clubs is that you're going to get clubs by opening up these chests. So you have 4 chest slots, and you can pay 20 gems to speed up a silver chest. You can spend 36 to speed up a gold chest, or you can allow them to count down, and then over time it will open for free. The more chests you open, the more club cards you get. I do not play around, no matter what level of match I'm playing. I do not play around without an open slot. So I'm constantly trying to harvest clubs. So this particular tournament we're playing in the Fall Major, it's in Tour 4. So, I've been opening up chests in Tour 4 as I've been practicing some of these new holes. So if I look at clubs, a quarterback and less is Tour 4. So here I've got everything maxed, but I could get some big toppers. In woods, I could still get some hammerheads and some horizons, so I'm working on those epics. Long iron, working on an epic. Short iron, still need to raise up my thorn. I could get it to level 8. Wedge, I've got those clubs maxed. So we're working basically on epics. I was practicing before the tournament on Tour 5 because I'm really trying to get my Rock, my Guardian, the B-52, the Hornet, and the Razor maxed out, just so that I have those clubs maxed out so that I can, when I need to, incorporate them in a tournament. And they're getting towards that spot where the last little bit, especially like in the Guardian, the last little bit that it gets some more topspin, and it gets that little bit of curl and some more power, so it becomes almost as powerful as a big dog, but it doesn't have the topspin. But sometimes, just that little teeny bit more topspin would help me out. So I'm really trying to max those clubs. So I'm playing those tours. So when I was practicing just by myself, I was playing Tour 5. But now that we're practicing for the tournament, we're playing for 4. So knowing what clubs you have available on that tour is going to help you so that you can, know why you're playing it. If you're playing in a tour and it's not helping you out, then go to a different tour, one that's going to get you the clubs that you're looking for. And it'll take time. It'll take time of opening up lots and lots and lots and lots of chests. This particular account has played 4,389 games. I've got 2,595 wins, which means I've opened up pretty dang close to 2,595 chests. There's probably a few where I rematched somebody and didn't have an open slot, but for the most part, I've opened at least 2,500 chests up in order to get those club cards. And a lot of those chests that I've opened are in Tour 7, so I had access to all of the clubs. All right, that was just a little tutorial on clubs. Thanks for watching.